It is a rather nippy Wednesday afternoon in November at Dunrovin Ranch. This is a little delayed from our normal closure of the osprey season. We had issues with our camera, as everybody knows, and we seem to be settling it down, not exactly as quickly as we'd like. It's a new camera, the Osprey Nest camera, that is. And that prevented us from going up to the pole and kind of closing out everything, but we are finally there. So everybody knows Kelly Kozak, otherwise known as Goddess Kelly. Goddess Kelly.
That's right.
Okay, now, Goddess.
Those of you who really know me know how funny that is. Like my mom. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, she's here, by the way.
Here, she's in my room watching.
Yeah, nice and cozy warm. Yes. So, Kelly, this was your first year being involved in all of this osprey world.
Madness.
It is a world in itself, is it not?
It is. I don't know that I never even thought of the word osprey. I'd never known what an osprey was. I came to the ranch, excited, looking forward to the nest, but the horses and everything that goes on. And then I was on the chat with all of you wonderful members, and they started talking about, the date and the countdown, and when did she come last year, and the year before, and the year before, and when did Hal come? And I started getting excited, and the anticipation started to build. And every day I get on, well, where is she? When's she coming? And I became as hysterical as I've been over many things. And then we'll go through the drama, but I'd never really experienced drama in nature as I had over the nest.
Yeah. And she is special.
Well, we'll talk about the goose.
Yeah.
At that moment, when Harriet met the goose, that's when I knew that she was my hero, and she is, can I say badass? She is amazing.
She is amazing.
Yes.
She is the matriarch. I don't know how long she was here before we put the web camera up, because I couldn't identify one osprey from the other. But I believe that particularly watching that pair return in 2011, which was the first year we put a camera up, watching them return, I think that they had been here before.
Right.
And so I think this was probably Ozzie and Harriet. Now, of course, we named them Ozzie and Harriet after, Ozzie Osprey. I mean, it seemed right. And then Harriet goes with Ozzie. I mean, just sort of, that's how all of that happened. And
they're a loving couple.
They were a loving couple, very nice couple, yeah, with good kids, right?
Good kids. Perfect kids.
Yeah, 50s, from the 50s when I was growing up, so this was
That was the cleanest nest ever up there, boy. Spick and span.
Spick and span, that's right, there you go. And we were standing in front of our osprey pole. Now, we didn't start this signing tradition until 2013. As many of you know, in 2011, Ozzie and Harriet had 2 chicks. We know that one of them died right before fledging, right before migrating. He was found by a fisherman on the river. And we figure that he died at fishing, that he probably dove and didn't quite make it. And then, of course, in 2012, Ozzie and Harriet laid 2 eggs that did not hatch. That was a summer of sadness, watching those 2 birds tend those 2 eggs. It was the first year that Cornell University broadcast our camera, and that's when many of you came to the Dunrovin nest, was in 2012. And the reason I mention that is the tragedy or the sadness of 2012 really is reflected in the names that we gave to the chicks in 2013. And indeed, in 2013, which I think many of you who have been here for all these years would go back and say was the best year, in part because there were 3 eggs and 3 chicks, and there was no sibling rivalry. All 3 chicks did really, really well. There was very little sibling rivalry. And we named them, after talking with all of our members, Percy for perseverance, Hope for hope, and Dilly for diligence, reflecting the characteristics that we saw in Ozzie and Harriet from having spent all of the summer before trying to to get those 2 eggs to hatch, which they never did. And then, of course, 2014 was a very dramatic year as well, as we had 3 eggs, and the chicks were named via a contest, and it happened to be that the eggs were laid during a lunar eclipse. And so we called our chicks Lunar, Soul, and Shadow. And things were going fairly well until a big storm hit, and Shadow, the youngest one, died. Again, whenever there's a shortage of food, the oldest 2 get fed, and that definitely is nature's way of ensuring that at least one chick survives the summer, and I think it's a very effective way, although it's not much fun to watch. Okay, and then everyone knows that towards the end of 2014, Ozzy was killed, probably by an eagle attack. We had a lot of eagle attacks that year. We found his body across the river. We brought it home. We took it to Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. They took him to a taxidermist, and he is now on the wall of Montana Wild, which is a museum in Helena, Montana. And he is an educational bird, and he is near a nest that talks about the importance of keeping baling twine out of nests. So that meant 2015 was the year that Harriet returned and hoisted a sign that said "Widow with real estate." Location. Exactly. It was a rambunctious year. I mean, we were all worried about Harriet getting a suitor. There was one weekend when I think there were at least 6 different suitors, and the sky was just full of male ospreys coming and vying for Harriet's hand. One stayed for a while. We called him Heiko, after one of the scientists that had been involved with us. And then he disappeared during an osprey fight, so we called the one who won the fight Victor for being the victor. But he disappeared, and finally this rather gangly young male caught her fancy, and we called him Hal for hallelujah. She has found a mate. And so 2015 was really the year of Harriet and Hal, and I know many of you who watched that year saw her train him up. You could see that she had an egg from who knows whom. It was not fertile, but Hal learned how to sit on that egg. And you could see, we got photos of him positioning his body, not quite knowing what to do. It was really interesting to all of us who had been watching Osprey's Nest to see a completely new guy. Yeah, it was very, very interesting. These web cameras have really opened up our understanding of the world of ospreys. And then that brings us to the following year, 2016, which is last year. And they only had 2 eggs. And things went very well last year. I mean, it was a rather quiet year. We had a couple of great horned owl incidents. But other than that, things went extremely well. Both Honor and Glory fledged. And we saw Honor. We saw a photo of Honor later, almost 18 months later, that was taken on the coast of Texas. So now that brings us to this last year, 2017. And I'm going to ask Jake to put up a bunch of photos on the camera so you can reminisce with me. It was a most exciting year. I think one of our most exciting years. And I'm going to wait for just a moment so he can get the photos up.
That was something, Betty.
It was something.
Unbelievable.
The very day. I mean, it started from the day. First of all, we'd had several geese that had shown interest in the osprey's nest. And we were all worried that these geese were going to set up housekeeping. And the day that Harriet came, we all said, "Oh, hallelujah, she's back. That's the end of the geese." Well, it wasn't. It was not.
The beginning of a 10-day saga?
A 10-day saga, yeah. That Mrs. Goose But between the time that Harriet landed and Harriet went off to feed herself after her long migration, Mrs. Goose landed on that and laid an egg.
And it was not golden.
No, it was not a golden egg. No.
And I recall the members telling me, Kelly, go throw rocks at the nest.
And so what did
They
we
must
do?
have known that wouldn't work. They just liked watching me down here throw rocks.
Yeah.
There were 5 of us down here.
Well, we were doing firecrackers. We were lobbing balls. None of it. None of it. That goose was there. So we got to worrying. And then you were here. You saw it.
I was standing right over there.
And?
My God, I'm standing over there. We had given up, really. The egg was there. It was over. Harriet, out of nowhere, came flying in. Boom! Knocked the goose.
Right off the nest.
Right into the goose. That's when my admiration for Harriet was cemented. That was incredible.
She's one warrior.
She absolutely is. She's the goddess, by the way.
She is. Goddess Harriet. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, within a couple days, this horrendous snowstorm comes. I mean, and we're not talking a little bit of snow. In fact, I have a quick time video on one of our magazine articles. You can see the snow build up, and you can see it go away, and the goose egg is still there. And so we're all fretting, what is going to happen with this goose egg? And I actually looked up that there have been reports of geese eggs in osprey's nests that hatched because the osprey hatched them. Of course, that's the end of the gosling because nothing happens after that. But that's actually happened.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. But we shouldn't have been so worried because while Harriet went off to feed herself, here comes Mr. Raven.
Yes.
And he was the hero.
Wasn't it?
No, it was in the day.
Over there, oh, there,
yeah, it was in the day right there. Yeah, in the day he showed up, and lo and behold, he took the egg.
It was incredible.
It was great.
Couldn't make that up.
And then, within a couple evenings of that, I mean, things are just happening. The goose, the snowstorm, the raven, and then a couple nights later, Harriet is sitting on her perch, and boom. There goes the great horned owl. Just, knocks her right off. And thank goodness for all of our members who are on Eastern time and who get up to go pee and check on the web camera.
Yes.
Because I got texts saying, look at this time, and I was able to go back and capture the time that actually happened. And we were worried, but Harriet, she hangs in there. Harriet hangs in there. So
I need to get on her bad side.
I would too. So this next group of photos is Harriet. This is a bird. I mean, I just don't know what I'm going to do when Harriet's not here.
Oh, no.
I just can't even fathom it. I think that's one of the reasons come January, February, March, everybody's anticipation grows because we're so in love with this wonderful bird, and I sure hope she comes back year after year. And as most of you know, I use the black flecks in the iris of her eye to positively identify her. She has very distinctive black flecks in both eyes, and you can see them there in one of these photos. And the next photo, series of photos, is Harriet fluffing her nest. Her mate had not yet returned, but Harriet is a woman of business. She gets down to business right off. Harriet, absolutely. So she's stealing my hay, breaking the limbs off from the trees in the forest.
She is building and redecorating. She needs her own TV show.
She does. That's a very good idea. Yeah. And lo and behold, this guy shows up, and he convinces everybody, including maybe Harriet. I don't know what Harriet's thoughts were, but he hangs around, and we're all calling him Hal. But thanks to a couple of really astute viewers, Melissa from North Carolina and Celia primarily, the word gets out, this is not really Hal. This is wannabe Hal. And indeed, a couple days later, real Hal shows up and knocks wannabe Hal out of here. The drama continues. I tell you, there was just no end.
There are a lot above the nest. There are a lot of altercations. I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. but there are intruders.
Oh, a lot of
constantly intruders. So I wanted to show you in one group of photos the difference between the beaks on Hal Wannabe and Hal. Now, I think that Melissa used a different marker, but I always go for markers that can't change with the feathers. Feathers molt. These guys are continuous molters. So I look in their eyes or their beaks or something like that. And indeed, the real Hal has kind of a telltale white line on both sides of his beak. No line. Little line. No line. Racing stripes. Very good, racing stripes. So I thought to myself, does Hal of 2016 have these racing stripes? And indeed, and I'll show you in the next plaque, they show up every year. He has these little racing stripes. So that is something that we can sort of focus on this next year. Hopefully the guy with the racing stripes, Hal, comes on back. So Hal and Harriet do what, married couples do. They set up housekeeping, get things going, and sure enough, they had 3 eggs. And all eggs hatched. And we named them after the exciting part of the first part of the summer. Hawk for the goose, Hero for the raven. The raven was a hero as far as we were concerned.
Right.
And then Hoot for the great horned owl.
Yes.
And things were going fairly well for the first week or so, and then Hawk and Hero really took to sibling rivalry and took out after Hoot. And for the first month, Hoot really hung in there. Hal was able to bring enough fish so that they completely satiated Hawk and Hero, and Hoot always got enough to keep growing.
Fishing was tough that time of year too.
Yeah, it got tough. Yeah, it was June. They hatched the 1st of June. And by the end of June, the University of Montana people came out to put bands on, and they weighed all 3 chicks. And indeed, Hoot was less than half of the weight of Hawk. But that scientists felt that he was really close to finishing that really critical period. And if he could get through the next couple of weeks, he would make it all the way. But then we had a big storm, a really big rainstorm. And that brought the river up, and instead of bringing 4 or 5 fish, only a couple fish came. And during that period of time, Hoot died. And it was a very sad thing for all of us to watch. But luckily, the 2 remaining chicks, Hawk and Hero, thrived. And right after that storm, within 3 days of that storm, the fish started coming back relentlessly. And it was just sad that little dip happened at exactly the wrong time. And both Hawk and Hero got bigger and bigger and engaged in endless fish fights.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you hear them.
Yes.
Yes.
Loud fish fights. Yes. And then, towards the end of July, Miss Hawk, we know she's a miss because she's bigger and she's got a necklace, was practice flying when she completely missed the nest on her landing, fell off of the nest, right where we are here, and landed on the barn. And thankfully, again, Melissa from North Carolina was on the web camera and very carefully switched the camera over, got great photos of Hawk on the top of the barn, where she stayed for well over an hour or so. Yeah. I mean, she was not very confident about getting off of there.
No, she couldn't elevate probably. That's pretty slick up there. It is. It's a metal roof.
It is. Metal roof, and it might have even been hot. Yeah. It might have been hot to her talons. I don't know, but she stayed right on the top because there is a little bit of a perch, a little bit of a something for her talons. And then she took off and wasn't seen until she landed early the next morning. And again, towards the end of the season, the food fights just increased. And there was one food fight, which I called the epic food fight, that lasted for 15 minutes. I mean, they brought a fish, and Honk had it, then Hero had it, then Hero had it, then Honk had it, and it just went on and on and on.
I had a similar relationship with my brother.
Did you? Yeah, yeah. Candy at Halloween time.
Boy,
Yeah.
everything. But it's amazing if you've never been near an osprey nest. 9, 10 food deliveries.
Yeah.
Live trout.
Yeah.
It's really, watching nature this close really is incredible.
It is.
And then I would get messages from the members saying, Kelly, they dropped a fish. Would you go get it?
Yes, and it would be right around here. Right in here with Augie. Augie would have to come over and sniff it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really, it's an amazing part of life to be this intimately involved.
It really is. And I'm born and raised in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And to be out here right in it is quite, I feel very lucky.
Oh yeah, I do too, and I've spent much of my time in the wilderness of Montana and Alaska. But to get to know a pair, to really understand them is a big treat. Yeah, and then of course mid-August brought the huge fire. I mean, it had actually started in mid-July, but it went on, and then it really blew up on the night of August 18th. And the photos that Jake is showing you, one of them was taken from the Osprey Nest webcam, and you can see the mountains are just ablaze. It shrouded everything with smoke, but it certainly didn't stop Hal from the fish deliveries. I don't know whether their breathing was infected at all. Probably was at some level. Had to have been.
But they had smoked fish.
They had smoked fish. Exactly. And then the great horned owl returns. This is the second year now that owl has been hanging around, and I think she has a nest across the river. And I'm worried she's going to be here. They're long-lived birds too.
Yeah. Now, do we have any way to take pictures of those and try to identify their eyes or their beaks and see if it's the same owl? Or are you pretty sure it's the same owl?
I don't know, but that's a really good question.
Melissa?
Yeah, Melissa. The real problem is you don't know when they're going to come.
Yeah.
And unless your eye happen to be on the camera, you can't zoom in so that you actually see what's happening.
Yeah.
But this panel of 9 photos here,
that's
you can
remarkable.
You can see the osprey, both of them. You can barely see the one on the right, but you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
The one on the left is hit directly by the owl. The one on the right takes off, and the owl takes over the nest.
Yeah.
I mean, this owl, it is crazy. Yeah. And by that time, we think the drama's just got to stop. I mean, it just got to stop. And
I can't take it anymore.
Indeed, it did. Finally, both of them, fledged and went off. And then one of the best ways to close out the whole season was we received a photo from Sherry Lynn Soule.
Yes. Oh.
Yes. A photographer down in the Texas area got a picture of Honk in flight.
That's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think Honk is definitely Harriet's daughter. I think Honk's going to be a survivor. Okay. So, Kelly, let's add.
So we have another sign.
We have another sign.
There we go.
Okay. To add to our growing collection, and it was a very dramatic year. I'm so glad that I was able to share it with you.
Thank you.
Yes, it was a wonderful year, and I'm so glad I was able to share it with all of you. And the final act of this year will be to put Hoot's body in the ground. Yeah. Jake just recently took him off the nest, and that we buried a shadow underneath the tree over there, and we're going to bury Hoot right here underneath the pole. So with that, I'm going to take a few moments of silence. You're going to watch me while I do that. And during this period of time, Jake is going to turn off the audio for this broadcast because he is going to get Terry Kiley on the telephone. Terry is a an author and a birder and a lover of plants and flowers who lives in New Hampshire, and she wrote a wonderful stome or story poem that she calls Oz Days at Dunrovin. And I have invited her to read her stome to all of us. It's really lovely. It's on our website. And as soon as I'm finished burying Hoot, we will come back online and we can talk with Terry and have her read her story. I will also get on chat before we hang off and see if you guys have any questions. So please stay tuned after the burial to hear Terry read her lovely story. Welcome back, everybody. I am delighted to have Terry Kiley on the phone from Alton, New Jersey. Can you say hello, Terry?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Oh, this is really delightful. Yeah, I just love the way this community is spread all over the place.
I
Yeah,
know we have Italy watching as well.
yeah. Terry, I understand that you work for a landscape arm and that you are one of their designers. Is that correct?
That is true. Yes,
It's called Lisa Dragfly Garden and Designs. Is that right?
Yes, that is.
And you are a birder, a lover of birds and flowers. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in all of that?
Well, on your ranch itself, on this osprey nest, my sister Karen, I believe all my 4 sisters are watching. But
Welcome. Welcome.
I think my sister Karen was the one that introduced me to your camera, and we would watch Ozzie and Harriet together from 2011.
Oh,
So
wow.
you have followed your seasons all the way up until the present.
Wow.
Karen took some amazing photographs. She's very creative with her photography, and she took wonderful photographs. And I have silently followed your cams. I've not chatted on any of your sites. And with the loss of Ozzie, my heart broke, as did everybody else's. And this year, I wanted to honor Dunrovin Ranch. I've been writing stones for other cameras for almost 2 years, and they've been very well received. And I wanted to honor Dunrovin Ranch and the beauty and the gifts that you have brought to all of us all these years.
Well, we're really honored. I really appreciate your having done this, and I so appreciate your taking the time to connect with us this way so people can actually hear you read.
Well, this is wonderful, and I thank you for this honor, and also for all the people who have appreciated my stones, because they inspire my creations, and all of the listeners that came tonight. Thank you so much.
Yes, I want to thank them as well. And don't hang up once you're finished, Terry. Jake will put the slides back up so we have something to look at while you read. And I'm going to assume that he has been able to do that. And so we're ready whenever you are.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This is for the 2017 Osprey season at Dunrovin Ranch, and it's called Osprey at Dunrovin. When the season began, hope was carried for 3, called Honk, Hero, and Hoot. We prayed all would fly free. These words are the story of the wonder of you, of a little one lost, and the blessing of 2. One did live before Hal. His heart's happy for you. He so loved your dear mom. Now he flies with you too. Your dad is quite special. Early on he brought gifts. To woo your sweet mama, all the hay he could lift. What dear parents you have, their devotion so deep. They provide all you need. Your well-being they keep. We laughed at your antics as you played through the day. From osplets to fledgling, now 2 stunning osprey. A cream-colored baby lays below in some hay. You so wonder and wonder how it will fly one day. Its size befuddles you, and its number of legs. You don't see any wings. What's the size of its eggs? You were close as nestlings. As fledglings you stayed near. Except for the fish squabbles, your heart bond was quite clear. It shows you're survivors when you fight over fish. This is lessons for which we wish. Honk, your fledge surprised us, and most likely you too. Most young fly to a tree. For you, a roof would do. You are beyond perfect, with magnificent wings. Your beauty astounds us, joy to hearts. Chocolate brown feathers with tips frosted in white. You take one's breath away. You're a glorious sight. You looked down on mountains, now you soar o'er their tops. You glide through the valleys, this makes our hearts stop. Oh, we wish you'd remain, but your destiny calls. Migration awaits you as summer turns to fall. A bounty awaits you in lakes, rivers, and streams. Big, bright, glistening fish in clear water will gleam. You will fly to the south, where you'll rest and you'll grow. Fall to the north, when migration winds blow. There you'll set up a nest, as your parents have done. We will pray that you're blessed with dear daughters and sons. Your genes carry greatness, your species is sublime. You now join with others to carry on your line. We always will miss you, yet we're grateful of heart that of your great story we were blessed to take part. Once the sky called to you, we knew you would depart, but you'll never be gone. You're held in our hearts. May the wind lift your wings, may you soar far and wide, may you fly long and strong in your home in the sky. May God bless you and keep you, honkin' hero. The end.
Hi, Terry. That was lovely. I am so glad we were able to connect to have you do this.
You were able to hear it and everything?
Yes, absolutely, and I'm sure that the members and everybody heard it as well. I'm on the chat. If any of our members would like to ask a question, I see emojis of hearts and smiles. Everyone's loving it and loved it. And there are many more viewers who are not Days at Dunrovin members, but it's on the public viewing as well. I can't talk with them, but I can talk with our members. And I see, there's applause signs. People are very happy with everything. And they're saying, thank you, Terry. What a beautiful poem. It was just really lovely that you were able to join us. And I want to thank you for watching all of these years and for being a part of this community. I think that, Ospreys have become ambassadors. They've really brought people from across the world together, and it's just a wonderful way to connect.
And they truly have, and it has been remarkable, and your site is wonderful. And it's just a wonderful story from the beginning to the end, from 2011 until now and on into 2018. And I'm delighted to have been a part of this. Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Well, thank you, Terry, and thanks to all of our viewers, to everybody who came and celebrated this year. What an exciting, dramatic, sad, and happy year we've all had. And let's, it's only 5 months. We can start the countdown to see our lovely Harriet come back at the end of March. I'm going to say goodbye, Terry. Thank you so much for participating and for your beautiful stone. And I will record this. We'll put it up in an article in our magazine, and I'll let you know when that happens.
Oh, thank you so much. Goodbye, Suzanne, for now, and goodbye, Goddess. Thank you, Dick.
Okay, thank you. We're all going to sign off.